Elon Musk is perhaps one of the most successful and most creative entrepreneurs we have in the world today. He is the CEO of Tesla, the one that produced Tesla electric car, and he also the CEO of SpaceX. SpaceX is the company that tried to put people in Mars, the next planet next to Earth. So in the interview, Mr. Elon Musk said when he hires people, he has more care about the experience rather than the academic qualification. And so the question is, how true is it? Because this can be used by many young people to say, yeah, I don't need to go to university anymore because I can be successful like Bill Gates, and I can be successful like Elon Musk, and I can be successful like Steve Jobs without finishing university. So that will put a lot of parents uncomfortable, because that's a very convincing argument. But let us see the whole truth, Do I believe that we don't need university education? Yes and no. Yes, many people become successful without having university degree. And in fact, there are many thoughts that said, university degree sometimes prevent us from achieving the greatest success we can. And again, they use Elon Musk. Although Elon Musk actually has a university degree, he started doctor degree, PhD, only for 2 weeks, and then he stopped. But Steve Jobs, of course, have no university degree, and then Bill Gates did not have university degree. But they still become one of the richest person, the most successful person in the world. So there is a truth in that. However, I believe university degree is also important because university open our mind, So we learn many different things, not only the technical thing, but like for example, when I attended university, I study engineering, and then I study also a little bit of psychology. Not only engineering. And that psychology actually helped me a lot. In fact, it is the psychology that what I'm using most of the time now rather than my engineering or my fisheries degree. So yes, there's a truth in that. I believe about 80% of our success come from our experience, and only 20% of our success come from our university or academic degrees. So let's look at this carefully, right? What happens if we don't have a university degree? Well, most people, when they start work, they work for somebody. And when you work for somebody and try to get job, to get employment, the bosses, will look at our qualification first. So those who have higher qualification will get the job, first. And if you don't have high qualification, you will put back in the bottom of the list. So yes, it is important because we have to compete with other people. Supposing 2 persons have the same experience, right? But one person have experience plus university degree, master degree or doctor degree, and the other one have only work experience. Under that circumstances, I think the employer will choose the one that have experience plus university qualification or academic qualification. So it is very important. But it's also true that right now, nowadays, there's a lot of startup company, that the one that use their own creativity to start a small business, and then from that develop to become a giant corporation. And many people have been successful that way. So that is one argument, but let's look at it carefully. If you look at carefully, 95% of businesses in the world are not successful. And that 5% is successful. Next year, another 5%. Next year, another 5%. So at the end, it looked like a lot of startup company with restaurant, coffee shop, and things like that become successful. But they forgot about the 95% that fail, right? Another thing also, when you are young, starting life, you don't have capital usually, right? So without capital, it's very difficult. So it is important that we probably start by working for a company, a good company preferably, and learn from them, develop experience, how to manage, how to manage staff, how to develop staff, how to lead their staff, and so on. So working for people is important, and to do that we have to have good degree. And this is more and more important now because the competition is getting stiffer and stiffer, yeah? And unemployment is a big issue now as population is increasing. Let's look at education. I remember not so long ago, I was listening to the BBC, the British Broadcasting Commission. They were talking to a professor that taught a management course. He's been doing this for 30 years, and then he wanted to stop. And then the interviewer said, "Professor, why do you want to stop?" He said, "Because I realize what I'm doing doesn't produce any result." And he said, there are 3 things that students get when they're attending a university course. Number 1 is they learn a set of language which they communicate very effectively without knowing what they're talking about. Number 2, they develop a very strong mindset that after they finish university, they go into the workplace, and then when they find out in the real life is different than university teaching, they believe the university teaching rather than dealing with the real life. And then he said, number 3, when you go to university, you get a piece of paper that's called a certificate. And with this certificate, you can get a job. And then you can start learning what you're supposed to learn in management. And so I think there's a truth in that most people, including myself, when we get together with my old friend, we said, really we don't learn anything in school. Everything that we learn after in the real life. And so, but it's still valid, I think, that university is very important, right? But I also believe that the education system that we have now, although it's very good, after all, we can send a person to the moon, and come back. We can develop great buildings, and we can develop medicine and so on. It is incomplete. Incomplete for 3 reasons, I believe, because whether it is high school, primary school, high school, and university, they don't teach us what we need in real life. Number 1 is they don't teach us creativity, which is in the future, starting from now, this is one of the most important, this is the key to our success, is creativity. Be able to create something that is not there before. Because information is now available. How we use this information to create something new, something wonderful, something that will change humanity, that's important. So number 1 is creativity. Number 2 is our university degree do not teach us emotional intelligence. In life, our technical skill is not enough. We need to be able to use our emotion, whether to manage our emotion, to develop relationship with people, with our staff in the future, with our boss in the present, with our colleague in the present. So that is not being taught in the university. Thirdly, university degree don't teach us leadership. And if you look carefully of university that teach leadership skill, it is actually, if you look at the curriculum, it is not very complete. So to the young people who's listening to this video, let me give you some advice. Get your degree. Get your bachelor degree, get your master degree if possible, get your doctor degree, because you never know, in the future. Even after you become successful entrepreneurs, things are not guaranteed. Sometimes it fails, so when it fails, at least you have something to fall back on. And then you also, with master degree and doctor degree, you can compete effectively in the workplace when you're starting your life, in the real life. I also have an advice or recommendation for educator. I think educators have to transform the way we educate our young people today. Like I said, we have to help them to learn to be more creative, learn to become a leader, learn how to people skill. And this will guarantee their success in the future. And thank you very much.